So, Eidolons, right? Yep, Eidolons. Here is my ultimate beginner's guide to Eidolons, probably my most asked for video on this channel. Before we go any further, we will need your checklist. This will be in order of most importance for this video and will include everything you will need to know about Eidolons as a beginner. The checklist is as follows: how to unlock Eidolons, the gear required, the amps, how to quick charge lures and charge lures in general, how to break limbs, how to cap Eidolons, and some tips and tricks. Now you have your checklist ready, leave a like in this video, my good sirs, it really helps me, and subscribe for that arcane energizer luck. A quick disclaimer to set the scene for the video: Eidolons are a huge gear check in Warframe, and in this guide I'm going to show you the bare minimum that you can use to do tridolons pretty comfortably for as cheap as you can go. So this guide will be for pure beginners only. Just bear that in mind when you are watching this video, and I will be making a full series regarding Eidolons that will cover everything from beginner to advanced guides about this, so stay tuned for that. Now, let's get into how to unlock Eidolon. Firstly, you cannot do Eidolons without an amp. It's impossible, so you need to complete the War Within quest line. Once you have completed that quest, you will obtain the Moat amp. This thing is garbage. Don't even bother. Please save yourself the pain unless you are doing it just to kill a few teralysts, which is the first Eidolon that you fight and is the easiest to get a few sentient cores, which allows you to hand them into the quills to get your first rank up so that you can get a better amp. We will go into more detail later on in the video regarding your amp setup. Great, now you know how to unlock Eidolons and amps. Let's go over the gear that is required. So when it comes to the frame that is used for Eidolon hunting, it's Vault. Just use Vault. If you're soloing, Vault. Now this budget Vault build that I have made is something that you can work towards if you do not have all of the mods, but just substitute what you have available. Basically for the aura you want to go Deadeye, which is sniper rifle damage is increased. If you don't have this mod, you can get it from Nightwave on rotation, or you could just buy it on Warframe Market. Flow, if you have Prime Flow, then put that on. Umbral Vitality, Narrow-Minded, Shock Trooper, which is used to give you a lot more electricity damage for that extra radiation damage. Continuity or Prime Continuity if you have that available. Transient Fortitude, Adaptation, and Umbral Intensify. I did use Rolling Guard here, but Adaptation is a must because when you use this build and you go over to the Hydras, which is the hardest Eidolon, the third one, you just get one shot by lightning. It's very, very tough. So adaptation is actually quite useful here. If you do not have this, you could just buy it for pretty cheap on the market. It should be like 15-ish platinum or more around there. It won't be too expensive. Then power drift. This is flexible. This is if you have extra capacity available. Now I do have 2 umbral formers in here, and it is worth putting umbral former in Vault because Vault is a very important frame and is used for many things. So this is quite expensive, but it's worth it. So you may need to former a little bit more because, you know, if you're using 2 of the umbral mods. If you don't have access to the umbral mods, you need to complete the quest, which is obtained through completing the sacrifice quest, and you will get these for free. For the Arcanes, Arcane Nullifier, save up the platinum and buy it. It is a must have. It will be so painful to do Eidolons without this Arcane. It is so important. And for the weapon we're going to be using is the Rubico, so we are going to use Arcane Momentum. This is also quite cheap for a max rank Arcane Momentum. I think it's about 30 platinum around there. This is the budget Eidolon build. Another important thing, Eclipse on your 4th ability. Now you have to get this. This is so important. This completely changes the game with Eidolon hunting. It's very important. So get Eclipse onto your 4th and you will do a lot more damage, and you can quite easily do it this way. Without Eclipse, you're going to struggle quite a bit, if I have to be truly honest with you. So get the Holman segment as fast as you can and get Eclipse on there. Mirage is quite an easy frame to subsume. Now let's move on to the weapon. If you are a beginner and you are low MR, the Rubico. If you get to MR 12, get the Rubico Prime. That's the main weapon that the majority of people who do Eidolon hunting use. It is very good. So this is the Rubico build. It is the budget build. It's 6 form. It has to be, and I'm using no prime mods, nothing, just a basic simple build, corrupted mods and so on. It builds for radiation and flat damage, and if you have access to Steel Path, then please use Prime Immersives for the reload speed. This is very important because the Rubico's reload speed sucks, really does suck. So the 30% really helps, and also Arcane Momentum also really helps there as well. Just to show you briefly, for those of you who want to know what the Rubico Prime build looks like, it would look something like this. You can use normal shred or just a fire rate mod. That's pretty much what the Rubico Prime build will look like. Now the Null Prime Vassalok, this is for advanced users. You can use this. Null Prime's quite easy to get as well. I won't go over that. This is just for pure beginners for now. The Parazon, just get runtime. That is all you need. Then let's go over the companion. The companion is Worm or Worm Prime, and there's a reason why we use this companion. It's because of the mod called Negate. Now Negate is very important. Sentinel prevents status effects from applying to its owner once every 5 seconds. This is really nice. This build here isn't really finished. It's just a simple build to keep everything alive. Your whole goal is to keep this companion alive, so just build for Negate and Vitality, Redirection, and then Guardian as well, Synth Fiber, Vacuum, etc. This build was inspired by Trix. I will link his video in the description below if you want to go and check that out. Then for the companion's weapon, you want to stack all Vigilante mods so that you can get the set bonus, which is 15% chance to enhance critical hits from primary weapons. Now let's go over the gear. If you have access to it, although I don't think as a beginner you will, Encore Crew, which is from rank 9 from Commando off your Railjack intrinsics, is very useful. Put a Czar on, so that is for advanced Eidolon hunters for later on in the game. If you are new to the game or in lower MR, you probably won't have access to this. Then Squad Energy Restore, very important. The two things you mainly need is Squad Energy Restore and Ciphers. Then of course you're going to need your Archwing launcher and then your Necromic Summon. I have bound my Archwing launcher to V on my keyboard. This is really nice so that I can just press the button and just go into my Archwing really fast and go in and out. It's very useful for you to do this. I also then bound my Squad Energy to 6, number 6 on my keyboard. This also is really good so you can spam it easier and not have to worry about it. And then Ciphers. Ciphers are important for when you want to grab a lure and you want to quickly hack it. So you would basically press X on it and then Y to insta hack it instantly. That's how you'll see later on in the footage when I show you how I just insta hack things very quickly. So the main thing you need for gear is Squad Energy Restore and Cipher and then Archwing launcher. Those are the 3 main important things. You can do Necromic Summon so you can keep the door open. I'll explain it later, but it's not necessarily needed. Then when it comes to Archwing, there's only one, Itzol. Itzol is quite easy to get. You can get it from the dojo, and the reason why we use Itzol is for Cosmic Crush, which brings enemies in and sucks in all the voms when you're trying to charge your lures. This is very important. Cold Snap is also very good, and you basically just want to build for range and efficiency. That's all you really need. Let's talk about the focus school. You want to use Madurai, and the reason why you want to use Madurai is for Void Strike. Now Void Strike is your huge damage boost when it comes to your amp damage and your void damage. And basically what this does is it consumes all your energy and increases the damage for every percentage of energy consumed. This allows you to basically one-shot the Eidolon's shield and allow you to quickly take down the limb. Void Strike is very important, and then you also want to max out everything in Madurai. The main things I would focus first is go Phoenix Talons, Void Strike, Contamination Wave, and then go to Inner Gaze and Eternal Gaze, and then Waybound these. This is very important. Then you can focus on Power Transfer, Chain Sting, Distilled Contamination, and Void Fuel, for example. Now let's talk about amps and what you're going to need to use to do it as a beginner comfortably. Amps are the most important thing about Eidolons, and you cannot do it without it. So when you complete the War Within quest, you will get the Moat Amp, which I said earlier was terrible. If you haven't heard by now, you'll hear people talking about something called the 177 or the 777, and if you are clueless to what this is or what this means, basically what the community has done is putting all the amp parts into a table, which as you can see here, it's really useful. It shows you exactly where all the amp parts are and what they do and where it's from and so on and so on. So that's why we say it's a 177 or the 123 or the 111. It's pretty easy to understand when you see the table. When you get the Moat Amp, the first thing you want to do is build the 111 just to get out of the Moat Amp, so you can do that and you can do teralyst and maybe even Gantulus, but not Hydralus yet. And then you want to work towards the 123. Now the 123 consists of the Raplac Prism, Shraxon Scaffold, and the Lauren Brace. This allows you to be able to do tridolons. Tridolons is just a term for doing the 3 different Eidolons in one night, and that way you can do tridolons okay. It's not the best, but it's okay. Guild it, get your damage up, and I'll explain how to do it in game. Just to demonstrate for you, the 123 looks something like this. You see that it's like a beam with a grenade at the end, and you basically use alt fire and it uses the grenade. If you left click, you will Raplac. Now regarding the operator arcanes, Magus Repair, please just use this. It's very useful when you're Eidolon hunting. It's so important actually. Magus Lockdown is okay, but Magus Repair, save up some extra platinum and buy it on the market. It will save you quite a lot during your Eidolon hunts, even if it's a level 1, level 2, and so on. You don't need to go max rank, just so that you can heal your frame when you are in void mode during Eidolon, so that you don't die the whole time. Then when it comes to the amp arcanes, when you get your amp, you will only have one amp slot. If you go to the Zaramon, to the Chrysodent, and you grind that and get to rank 5 there, you will be able to get the second amp arcane adapter. This is very important, but we can work on that later. For now, the amp arcane you want to use is either Virtuous Shadow or Virtuous Strike. If you can, and you are somehow rich on platinum, Eternal Onslaught or Eternal Eradicate, those are the two meta amps. Otherwise, I just use Virtuous Strike. It works quite well to an extent. But Virtuous Shadow is also very, very good because it allows you to crit chance more and thus do more damage, especially when you're ult firing with the 1, 2, 3. Let's talk about Eidolons themselves. Firstly, before you even think about killing your first Eidolon, you need to know how to handle and charge lures. Lures spawn all around the map on the plains of Eidolon. Here is a picture for you so you can reference it. Go to it at night, learn the spots, and pick your favorite spots. All you need to do is shoot at the lure. It will then go down. You can go and hack it, and then it is yours. It will follow you around the map unless you go up to it and press X to make it hold position. Just a quick note on quick hacking. Basically, all you do is shoot the lure, interact to hack, and then press Y on your keyboard to insta-hack super fast in rapid succession. This way you can speed up the lure grabbing process. I don't know what the button will be on console, sadly, but on keyboard, it's just Y to use your cipher. You cannot kill an Eidolon without a charged lure. Vombalists are little sentient creatures that spawn around the map at night. You need 3 voms to charge 1 lure. You will see when the lure is charged when the icon turns from orange to blue. Please bear in mind that you need to be in a close vicinity for the voms to be able to connect to the lures, and then you need to kill them. Otherwise, they will just run in the opposite direction and then you have to chase them, which is really annoying. Before we go into quick charging, I need to explain a mechanic in where you can force spawn voms. There are multiple locations that voms will spawn, but I will show you the main locations. I have used lock pins on my map to pin where some of the lures and voms spawn. If you don't have lock pins, you can get them from the clan dojo, build a few, and then you can just copy my locations here. How you go about force spawning voms is as follows. From the location where voms will spawn, make sure you are about 180 meters, aim down your scope and just slowly tap forward to about 140-ish meters, and the voms will then spawn. This is force spawning. Here is spawn 1. Here is spawn 2. And here is spawn 3. Great, now you know where lures are and how to charge them. Let's teach you how to quick charge the lure so that you can start the fight earlier and speed up the process. There are multiple methods, but I will teach you one of the main methods. It is a method known as 2+1. This takes some practice, so you may fail a few times, but after a few tries, you will get it right. The best place to do this is the camp to the right. Stop here at my marker, aim down your scope towards the camp, move slowly until you see the voms spawn. It's important to get here as fast as you can as you get out of the gates. When the voms spawn, go and shoot the lure, hack it fast, suck in the voms with Cosmic Crush on your itself, and then shoot the voms. When they are close enough to the lure, you will see the line attached to the lure when you are close enough. Then you need to bolt towards the teralyst spawn before it finishes its spawn animation, and you need to damage it with anything, whether it's your amp or weapon, before it's finished its animation. As the shields become available, cast Void Strike, break the shield, not the limb. A vom will spawn, thus charging your lure. You must break the shield before 34 seconds, otherwise the vom will not spawn. Now that lures are out of the way, let's get into actually taking an Eidolon down. Firstly, each Eidolon has shields that can only be taken down with amp damage, and the way we go about this is when Eidolon shields are up, you will need to have placed a Volt Shield. This is so you can get bonus amp damage. Stand behind it, cast Void Strike, and then Raplack the Eidolon. The shield should break depending on how far your Madarai skill tree is. If your Void Strike is not up, then what you do is place your Volt Shield, stand behind it, and then use your Alt Fire, which is your scaffold, and basically grenade, and then grenade the Eidolon until the shield is down. Once you have taken down the shields, the limbs will become vulnerable. For those of you who have never seen an Eidolon, each Eidolon has limbs that you need to take down, as I have highlighted here. The teralyst has 4 limbs, while the Gantulus and Hydralis has 6 limbs. They have 2 extra at the back by the shoulder blades. You then want to shoot one of the limbs once the shield is broken. A quick tip, if you break the shield in operator and press E to melee and shoot in rapid succession, you will go in and out of your operator a lot faster, taking down the Eidolon slightly faster. Remember, you need your lure to be charged so that the Eidolon doesn't disappear after you've broken the limb and then spawn somewhere else in the map. Charged lures keep the Eidolon there. That's what you want. Once you have broken the limb, that exact second, run to the lure that you have charged, hold its position so it doesn't teleport with you, hop into your Archwing. You have about 17 seconds to get another lure. Remember to use Volt's second ability, which is speed, so that you can move through the map faster with your itself. You need 2 charged lures to capture a teralyst and 3 charged lures for the Gantalist and Hydralist. If you kill a teralyst and you don't have 2 charged lures, it will then just be killed and not captured, and then you won't get your Eidolon shards to progress to the next fight. My advice with each limb that you take down, go and grab a lure. That means by the 4th limb on the teralyst fight, which is the last limb, you will have 4 lures ready. Now, you've got your second lure, you've bolted back to the Eidolon. Remember, the magnetic wave does damage, so you want to hop into your operator, stay in void mode so you don't die. This is very, very important. If you feel you're about to die at any time in the fight, just hop into your operator and stay in void mode. Just before the Eidolon gets back up, make sure your Volt shield is up and equips and all your buffs. Hop into your operator, throw contamination wave depending on your arcane that you have equipped. Do what the arcane requires. So for example, if you have Virtuous Shadow, on headshot chance to gain critical chance. So before the Eidolon gets back up, wrap like the head a few times and you will gain the bonus. Thus do more damage, taking down the shield faster. Then stand close enough to the right leg behind the Volt shield and then ult fire with the grenade up into the Eidolon, doing the most damage because it hits the most limbs. Shields break, and you just rinse and repeat the method until you get to the last limb. Grabbing lures and so on. Do not grab more than 4 lures, otherwise it will mess up the charging process. At the last limb, there's an important mechanic to remember. If you do forget, it's okay, but it's important to know this because it will help you drastically. As you break the last limb, which is the 4th limb on the teralyst, a vom will spawn where the limb broke, and then 2 more voms will spawn under the Eidolon. As you break the limb, hop into your Archwing, spam Cosmic Crush and kill the voms as fast as possible, otherwise they'll be sucked up into the Eidolon and you lose out on those 3 extra free voms. You should be able to charge your second lure if you did get it right. If you don't, if you manage to get only 1 or 2 voms, that's fine. When the Eidolon gets back up, more voms will spawn underneath, thus being able to charge your extra lures. Once your lures are charged, set up again, just shoot the Eidolon in the head with your Rubico. Make sure you have all your buffs and you're zoomed in with that extra 6 times critical damage. Just to remember some things, when you have at least 3 to 4 lures by the end of the fight, remember to make your 1 lure you positioned to follow you again. The reason we do this is because once 3 lures are charged and you cap the Eidolon, while it's busy ascending into space, you can quickly bolt towards the altar in the middle of the lake and the lures will then teleport to you. The lures will pop, giving you all the loot. Go to the altar, place your shard, and the second Eidolon will spawn the Gantalist. Now this video is already very long and I don't want to bore you any further, so I'm going to make a series on Eidolons, and the next video will be about lures and everything that goes with them, and then the one after that will be about tridolons and the mechanics that goes into each of the fights. If you watch this video and want to do tridolons and carry on, just know that the principle remains the same. Once you have placed your shards into the altar, the next Eidolon will spawn and then you just rinse and repeat the processes, but there is a certain way of fast killing the Eidolons out of the water, as I demonstrate here very quickly in this clip. Okay, so I just hopped into here very quickly just to explain something to you guys and explain how the Eidolons, when they spawn the Hydralist and the Gantalist, where they spawn and how to do them. So I have placed markers here on the map for you. You can literally copy them as I go along and explain it. When the Eidolon spawns, well, when the Gantalist or Hydralist spawns on this side, you basically want to place your Volt Shield, Void Strike, shoot the Eidolon, and then just instantly break the limb as it's getting out of the water and ascending out of the water. Then the same thing happens over this side. If the Eidolon spawns on this side, same thing, Volt, Void Strike, and shoot the limb. Same over here. You can just copy all the spots with lock pins. This is if you want to continue doing tridolons after this video, but I will be making the videos quite quickly and fast after this, so I'll be working quite hard on it. This is the slightly tricky one. This is called the long spawn. So this is where the marker is on the edge here, and you will basically place your Volt Shield over here into the rock, and then you will just basically just middle mouse button or alternate fire your amp into the ground here, and then the Eidolon that gets up over here will break the shield. Then with this, you kind of want to just hop up until you see a limb and shoot it, and that's it. It's that simple. Now in this guide, I've basically taught you everything about the core concepts of Eidolon hunting, so you can apply this knowledge for teralyst to Hydralist and Gantalist. Obviously there's a bit more mechanics and a bit more difficult things with the different fights. because they get more difficult as they go along. But like I said, if you do void mode, if you do your lures and you charge them correctly and you make sure that you have all your buffs up and take them down, you can just practice it and get good at doing tridolons. I will make a full guide on all the mechanics of each Eidolon and how to do tridolons efficiently. So stay tuned for that. So yeah, anyways guys, that's the video. I hope it made sense and I hope you all are equipped and ready to do Eidolon hunting and ready to do your first teralyst and maybe even tridolon. Thank you so much for watching the video. Don't forget to hit that like button and subscribe. I will see you all in the next one, my good tenor.